Yeah, good evening. I appreciate the opportunity to discuss design today, and I'm grateful to the Springboard team, especially Mo and Morgan. Thank you both. So my name is Nick. I am a service designer. I worked at Samsung Next as a design strategy lead, and prior to that, I was at Innovation Labs at Delta Airlines and Chase Bank. My job is to actually design services, make them more innovative and seamless, and I do so by using some of the design and business opportunities. Prior to being a service designer, I was in advertising for almost 10 years, where I primarily worked as a copywriter and art director. So recently I took a break and I decided to author my first book. I've been a writer for a long time on Medium and other blogs. And the book is actually called The Future of Extraordinary Design. And I think the book came about, the reason I wrote this book is because when I was learning design, there were so many principles that were taught to me about human-centered thinking and about standardization, and some of those actually did not resonate to me. I was like, if everybody's looking one way, there has to be some merit in seeing the other way. And I started questioning some of those. And the idea being is, if I can convince you here that if you can look the other way, there is a lot of things that you will see that it's about questioning things that we've heard, that we've been taught, and can some of these norms, the industry norms, can they be challenged? Can they be seen differently? There are lots of topics here that are in the book, but I'm going to discuss a couple of them here. And the first one is standardization. And I'm sure that we've all heard this before. Why did standardization become so popular and at the core of design? You know, American companies wanted to grow. They wanted to go international. And the only way to do it is perfect your processes, perfect your systems, and then you can scale to any country in the world. But in doing that, so we kind of, we replicated thousands of them around the world. And the examples are McDonald's, Uber, Starbucks are a living example of what standardized business looks like. But trends have changed in the last few years. We've seen that people no longer want standardized products. They want unique. They want artisan. They want handmade. They want local, and they also want their cultures reflected in it. And some of these brands just cannot provide that because their business model is all based on standardization. So how do we think about it? Now, this is, let's play a game. This is, shout out any differences you see between the two. I'd love to hear what you guys think. These are two McDonald's. Please just tell me what differences you see.
Shape of the buildings.
Okay. Anything else?
Emphasis on the red color. Emphasis on the red color.
On the logo? Okay. So yeah, as you said, the difference is the shape. One of them has an outdoor sitting, the other one doesn't. But frankly, they both are sitting in completely different regions in the world. One is in Canada and one is in Middle East, Dubai. And you can actually take one of the buildings and swap it to another, and it won't make any difference because it's more like a Lego piece that's just being built around the world. And this is a perfect example of what standardization can do. It does not think of the locality, it does not think of other things. Now let me share another example. This is an Apple store. On the left-hand side is an Apple store in Dubai. On the right-hand side is an Apple store in Brooklyn. These are unique to their communities. And good design should always be dynamic, relative, and contextual. And it's not Apple hired local people to give it that local architecture flavor. And they chose colors based on these communities. And what you see is, if you take one of these buildings and put it elsewhere, it just wouldn't fit. And that's what a good design is. Here's another example. This is one of my favorite examples. There's a restaurant in New York called Enoteca Maria. And what they do is, they have a very, very different concept. They actually take a local nonna, is what they call it, which is a grandmother, and she becomes the head chef for a week. She designs the menu. She designs it like she's cooking for her kids, her grandkids, and she basically becomes the head chef for a week, and people come in there. So the nonna can be from Portuguese, she can be Mexican, she can be Indian, she can be Chinese, she can be American. It's it's not they select asking people, it's what they do. And what I love about it, it's novel. It pulls together traditions together in a way that's extremely New York, because New York is all about people coming from different parts of the world. Perhaps most importantly, it's highly unstandardized. It is not replicating a model, it's created a new model. And last not the least, I'm sure we all know Tesla. There is a really interesting fact that I found, that back in the 50s, a lot of Americans did not drive their cars, they had drivers. But then cars became more and more common and everybody started driving their cars. Today, most of the 60% of the room is given to the driver's side and only 40% to the passenger. So no matter which car you buy, if you sit behind, it's never going to be comfortable. But that's not the same case around the world. If you go to countries in the Asian region, India and China, there most of the people have a driver. People who actually own a Tesla will probably have a driver. So Tesla did not just ship the product, they understood this. So if you actually buy a Tesla Model 3 in China, the driver has 40%. And 60% is for the owner who sits behind. So this is what I mean. The standardization doesn't have to be visual, but it's also how you put your thought behind it. Because it has to be cultural relevant. Just because it's American doesn't mean it's going to work anymore. Why do we need standardization? And standardization is great in some parts. When you're thinking about supply chain and all, it's an amazing thing. But what is the big difference between a supply chain and a storefront that we saw in Apple and McDonald's? Supply chain is invisible. Storefront is visible to a customer. So when you're designing something that's customer facing, make sure that you understand all the cultures and all the things that they want. Your brand should come secondary. It's not about pressing an American product with an American brand on the rest of the world. It's about carefully crafting it. Next this is one of my favorite. I'm sure most of you are learning this. Human-centered design. It is very close to me because I started my entire book project with this topic. It is something that we use it every time. Human-centered design is now used in every form of design. Every designer puts together a user at the center of their design. We all know that. But haven't we done this for centuries? If we keep on using human-centered design, we're going to destroy everything. Because at the end of the day, we are always used to putting ourselves at the center of the story. When we talk about ourselves, it's only about us. For the longest times, back in the ancient century, they believed that the world rotated around planet Earth because it's all about us. So we are part of the ecosystem, we are not the whole ecosystem. And we have to understand, if a user has a place at the center of the design, so does every other living thing. And I'm going to share some examples. This is a typical zoo. Frankly, it's a very interesting topic. And how many of you here think zoos are a good idea?
I guess I will be the only person.
Okay.
It's not, I don't believe it's a right or wrong answer, but I used to work with wildlife biologists and scientists and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And the species we worked with was a species of gecko from New Caledonia that is now extinct in the wild of New Caledonia due to deforestation and the introduction of red ants.
Yep.
So these geckos now only exist in captivity.
Mm-hmm. Great. And how many of you, of course, don't believe it's a good idea? I'm sure. Okay. So at least I'm glad my example is resonating to more people. But I'm not a big fan of zoos. And this is nothing personal. I have my own theory. I've never been to a zoo. I've never sat on an animal. It's just something very personal. But this example is about human-centered design. Zoos are a perfect example how flawed our human-centered design thinking is. Zoos only think about us. As much as we like to give it a spin by saying that we're preserving endangered species, or it's for our children, it's the wonders of nature that they're learning, but it's not. This lion in this photo isn't sleeping to conserve energy in the midday heat. he's just bored. He is bored because this habitat wasn't built for lions' comfort. It was to make sure that every kid who wants to see a lion gets to see one. So I'm not here to just criticize the zoo, but I'm talking more on the human-centered thinking side. So I'm going to bring the next example. This is Denmark's Zootopia. It's being built. You guys can read about this, but I'll tell you a little more. Denmark's Zootopia, the designers flip the story. The humans are in the cage on real habitat, not enclosures. So this whole part is actually a real forest that they're building. And it's just going to be as wild as a real forest, of course carefully designed. But as you can see, there are polar bear here and there are lions here. And this part is where the humans are. And the humans are actually in a little cage who are getting to see the animals. And the animals are the focus of the story here. The designers built a home for them, and then they found a way for humans to access it without getting obtrusive. And that's the story here. Like, the reason why I don't like zoos is because we want to see them, and that's why we've captured them. This is a beautiful way of doing it. This is human-centered design, because it's not human who has to be at the center of the story here, it's the animals who have to be at the center of the story here. We have to think of them and then think of us. We want to see them. They don't want to see us. They can't see you here. This is this thing. In this book, I encourage you to think of design in totality as being the next set of creators. You can actually design how you want it to be and put everyone at the center of the story. Part of this is always holding the bigger picture and not the small pixel within it. Design in totality, if the user, again, if a user has a place at the center of the design, so does every living organism. Thank you. Your job as designers, researchers, creators, and innovators is to ask why and find a better way of doing things. Remember that every design choice that you make, you will change millions of lives, not just